So, my first harvest. Take yourself back to 1976. You know, my hair is about that length over there. I have a beard that's considerably longer. I wear a lot of tie-dye. I've been working with Joe Swan now for 4 years. I am desperate to make wine. I emptied my bank account out to buy grapes, but literally I can't find anybody who will sell me grapes because farmers are a little conservative. But after some doing, I finally found a guy named Joe Loganson who has grapes in Dry Creek Valley. Their old vines are exactly what I'm looking for, but he insists that I pay for the grapes before I actually pick the grapes, which is highly unusual. So if he screws up in the last month, you know, it's not his problem, it's my problem, because they belong to me. So we make a deal that I will buy the grapes, we estimate what's in the field, I pay him, you know, I basically empty out my bank account to pay him the grapes. We make a deal that he will pick the grapes, he'll put them in my lug boxes, he'll load them onto the truck, and we'll come up to the truck that evening and pick it up and drive it back to Joe Swan's winery where I'm making the wine there and crush the grapes. Sounds easy, nothing could go wrong, right? Well, it turns out that everything can go wrong. Because I know that I want to get the grapes perfectly right, I wait until the last minute to pick the grapes. And the day I choose to pick the grapes, the day before or the day of, the storm is moving in that night. So I'm going to whisk these grapes out of the field just before the rain comes. And I'm going to make great wine. That's my idea. So I get up there at 6:30 to pick up the grapes, and I find that the grapes have been picked, but they're in wooden lug boxes spread over 4 acres of vineyard. There are 4 tons of them. And they're not on the truck, and there's nobody there. And I kind of go into like major panic. And desperately, I think, what can I do? There's nobody I can call. You know, I have to pick these grapes up. And it's already raining in the hills around me. The clouds are dark over my head. And I can feel sort of failure sort of looming around me. So I begin running down the rows and picking up these boxes and running and stacking them up at the end of the rows. And while I'm doing that, these 2 rather large ravens, probably bigger in memory than they were in real life, you know, plant themselves into a tree and begin croaking at me, almost singing raven kind of croaky songs at me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is really weird. You know, and usually ravens don't hang around for a long time when they do show up, and they pair for life. So there was a pair of them. And my first thought, of course, halfway through, my hands were bleeding, and I was running out of energy, and the rain had been raining around me, still not raining on me. I began thinking Edgar Allan Poe, you know, nevermore, you know, thoughts of the sweet Lenore and loss and things like that. But I keep at it, still doesn't rain on me. It's dark, I turn on the truck headlights, I'm loading the grapes, I get them loaded, I tie the truck down, ravens stay with me until the very end, still doesn't rain on me. I head down to Joe Swan's winery, streets are wet, still doesn't rain on me. Head to Joe's winery, you know, he's there to help me offload these grapes. His crusher is outside. We dump box after box after box into the crusher. We're done crushing grapes by midnight that night. As we dump the last box in the crusher, the skies open up. And I'm thinking something really magical is happening here. And I've been thinking about these ravens as I'm driving this truck back down to Joe's. And I had gone to school in the Northwest and I'd been an anthropology minor. I remembered that raven was the sort of the shape-shifting trickster god of the Northwest Indians. And did really cool things like brought fire and light, put the moon and the stars in the heavens, made woman, you know, amazing stuff. You know. I thought, wow. Now I was living in Berkeley, and I was doing a lot of Berkeley things. And I was reading something that you guys probably didn't get over here, but it was Carlos Castaneda, a book called The Yaqui Way, which was in theory about a guy who had met a Yaqui witch doctor or a Yaqui shaman, and they did a lot of peyote, and the shaman taught him how to wrestle with his animal spirit, you know, and find his inner self. And so, you know, this is like, it wasn't a really large leap for me to adopt Raven as my totem. But Raven Winery never really sounded right. And I went to an opera by Donizetti called Lucia di Lammermoor, based on an English tale by Scott, who wrote Ivanhoe, called The Bride of Lammermoor. It's a really cheery opera. Everybody dies. You know, Lucia goes mad before she dies. But the erstwhile hero, you know, who ultimately ends up drowning in the moor, is Eduardo Ravenswood. Now it's 1978, early 1978. I'm several vintages into it. My bank account is total rubber. I've moved to Sonoma and taken a second job, left my research job. People think I'm crazy. My domestic life is in shambles. And I'm thinking starting a small winery is a lot like grounding in the moor. I really like this name Ravenswood. It has a right ring to it, to me. I get the angst, I get the ravens, and it all seems right. So that's why Ravenswood is called Ravenswood. So that's the long and the short of it.